Good morning, ma'am. I'm Al. I'm a volunteer, and I noticed your yard needs some urgent help.
Oh, thank God. The city is fining me $240 by the 22nd. I was losing hope.
Don't worry about that fine anymore. I'm going to clear all of this free of charge.
Really? You're actually going to do that for me?
I promise. Let's get to work and make this place safe again.
Have you ever looked into the eyes of a person who has completely surrendered to the crushing weight of despair only to realize that your presence is the only thing standing between them and total collapse? This was the haunting question that echoed in my mind as I stood on a weathered, uneven porch looking at a woman whose life had been reduced to the barest bones of survival. She was an elderly woman struggling with the quiet, relentless decline of age, trapped in a home that had become a prison of her own making. The yard was a suffocating mess of knee-high weeds, tangled vines, and rotting debris that had hidden the house from the sun for months. When she walked toward the door, her gait was painful, and her hands trembled not just from the frailty of her years, but from the paralyzing anxiety of a situation that had spiraled completely out of her control. She told me she had been living under the shadow of a municipal notice that gave her until the 22nd to clear the overgrowth or face a crippling fine of $240. For many, that might be a manageable sum, but for her, it was a mountain she could not climb. She lived on a fixed income that barely covered the essentials, and the thought of losing that money or worse, facing legal trouble kept her awake at night, staring at the ceiling in the dark. She had reached out to dozens of local services, making call after call, but either no one picked up or she was told that her property was too far gone for their standard rates. The rejection had turned into a deep, hollow silence, and she had begun to believe that she was truly invisible to the rest of the world. The most humbling moment of my entire career happened within those first 10 seconds of our meeting. When I stood there, hat in hand, and offered to clear her property entirely free of charge, she didn't jump for joy. She simply stood there, frozen, as if she were trying to process the concept of kindness in a world that had shown her nothing but cold utility. She looked at me with eyes that were tired and wary, searching for a catch that wasn't there. When I insisted that this was simply a volunteer mission and that she wouldn't owe me a single cent, I saw the exact moment the tension broke. It wasn't a loud reaction, just a quiet, shuddering exhale of breath that seemed to deflate the heavy armor of stress she had been wearing for months. I spent the next 14 hours locked in a grueling, back-breaking battle with the overgrowth. I moved with a frantic urgency because I wanted her to see the change before the sun went down, to give her the gift of sleeping without the threat of a municipal fine hanging over her head. I used the heavy string trimmer to shave away the thick, stubborn walls of weeds that had completely encased her front steps, revealing the intricate concrete work that had been invisible for seasons. I shoveled out bag after bag of black sludge and rotting leaves that had pulled against the siding of the house, where they were causing wood rot and creating a damp, dangerous environment for her to live in. My entire body ached from the physical toll, and the heat was oppressive. But every time I glanced toward the porch, I saw her sitting there, her posture slowly uncurling from the defensive hunch she had maintained when I first arrived. The work was relentless. I tackled the thorny bushes that were scratching at the windows and fought through the tangled mass of invasive vines that had pulled down the backyard fencing. Every pass I made with the mower felt like I was peeling back a layer of her grief, revealing the beautiful siding of the house and the welcoming front door that had been obscured from the neighborhood for years. The labor was punishing, my muscles burned, and my hands were blistered from wrestling with thick, deep-seated roots that had entrenched themselves in the soil. But looking over and seeing her watching from the porch gave me the fuel to keep going until every single blade of grass was trimmed to perfection. I worked through lunch without stopping because I knew the value of momentum in a job like this, where the sheer scale of the neglect could easily discourage anyone. By mid-afternoon, the landscape was fundamentally different. We had gone from a thick, green wall of despair to an open, sun-drenched vista of possibility. When the property was finally cleared, revealing a clean, open, and safe landscape, she didn't just thank me, she wept. She told me that this yard had been a constant, burning visual reminder of her own perceived failure, and that seeing it return to order made her feel like a human being again rather than a fading memory. She shared that she had stopped inviting her few friends over years ago because she felt like a social outcast, trapped in a graveyard of her own making, ashamed of the condition of her home. Clearing this yard was not just about weeds. It was about opening the door for her to re-engage with the world she had been hiding from for so long. She told me she could finally breathe because the suffocating, claustrophobic presence of the decay was gone, replaced by the fresh scent of turned earth and cleared air. She had spent months thinking the world had moved on and forgotten her. But in that moment, as she stood in her own clean yard, she realized that she was still seen, she was still respected, and she was absolutely not alone. This story is a stark reminder that many of the people we pass every day are fighting silent, brutal wars, and we have a collective duty to look past the surface-level mess to provide the radical, unconditional compassion necessary to help them reclaim their lives from the grip of tragedy and systemic isolation. We often ignore the broken windows, the peeling paint, and the overgrown lawns because it is easier to look away than to confront the harsh reality of poverty and loneliness that exists right next door. But when we choose to step into that space, we are not just doing yard work. We are offering a lifeline to someone who has been drowning in the dark. It is about understanding that dignity is a fundamental human right that should never be forfeited, regardless of age, physical decline, or financial ruin. I want you to be absolutely honest in the comments below. If you knew that your simple act of showing up could be the miracle that saves someone from giving up entirely, would you be willing to sacrifice your time and comfort to be that person for them? Your perspective matters more than you know, so please share your thoughts. Hit that like button to signal to others that our seniors and veterans are not forgotten. Subscribe to this channel so we can continue these missions of restoration. And share this video with someone who needs a reminder that simple acts of kindness can change a life. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. Because we are only able to continue this work thanks to the thousands of viewers who choose to care enough to share our message with the world and keep this volunteer movement alive and growing. For those who need us most, we see the stories you tell us in the comments, and we read every single one of them. Because your feedback is the engine that drives this mission forward and ensures we reach the people who have been overlooked for far too long. Every share and every comment acts as a signal flare for others to join us in this fight for compassion. And as we move forward, we ask you to stay engaged and stay kind. Because the world has enough critics, but it can never have enough helpers. Together, we can turn the tide of isolation into a tide of connection and community strength for those who have sacrificed so much or worked so hard, only to find themselves left behind. Please remember that true impact is not measured in likes or views, but in the number of lives we can touch with genuine, undistracted care. And our mission will never truly be finished as long as there is a single person out there sitting in the darkness, waiting for a sign that they still matter. Thank you for your unwavering support and for helping us make the world a slightly brighter place for the heroes and neighbors who deserve our best efforts every single day. The impact of a clear yard is just the beginning. The real result is the restored hope in a human heart that had forgotten how to dream. We are committed to this path, and with your help, we will reach every single porch that needs a friend. Keep watching, keep caring, and keep shining your light, because you are the reason this change is possible.